so that you know.
So we should probably say what this is about first.
No, because as I said, I can add that in at the beginning. I think let's just talk, and then we'll, I can add that in at the beginning. So
I kind of lost my thought there a little bit, but like, I think that like the way I see it, like Sue, Kelley, Kim, maybe this is like the crux of the discussion, and we don't think this way anymore. But all of the people that we're trying to reach, they kind of want things simple, and they want a specific answer. So, I mean, I know I used to want an answer. Why does he do this? Like the why question comes up all the time. And I think it's not about the why. It's about looking at what they're doing and like, is it something that they're telling us that they're sick, in which case they need some type of support and medication, right? The botanical self-selection, which we're doing, it's all about finding a way to support an imbalance. So sometimes I think they are asking us to help them, and as guardians, it is our job. But I don't think it's our job to tell them how they should feel, how they should act.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, and an example of that, which I think I made a little post about. But I had a client who we went for a walk with her dog, and a sweet little dog, but she's pretty gets upset when she sees some humans and most dogs. Not every one, but some of them, the usual thing. And we were walking along, and the little dog, I said, let's watch the body language. And she stopped and she froze and she looked at these people, and then she went sniffing on the side, and we just watched. I said, don't interfere, let's just watch what she does. Give her enough length of the lead to watch what she does. Give her the space to make the choice what she wants to do. And she literally did. She made her own little sort of curve around these people, sniffed and totally ignored them. The next set of people, we came, and they were sort of quite low. They were sitting down by the river in the grass. So she couldn't really see exactly who they were and make them out. So she suddenly went stiff, and she went, bah! And she barked. And straight away, the owner, the guardian, sort of said, no, stop, and try to pull her away, and then try to sprinkle some treats on the ground to get her to distract her and that kind of thing. And I said, hang on a sec, let's just try something here. I said, we've got the whole river between us, we've got plenty of space, let's just kneel down next to her, put your hand on her harness, and just tell her everything's okay, and let her watch. And she went blah, 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 pause, and she air sniffed, blah, 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 pause, and then she got all loose body language again, and she carried on doing her thing. And that was that. There was no interference from us. Well, there was support. I said, give her the support, kneel down and give her the support. But she figured it out on her own, and she was fine thereafter once she realized what it was. And this is, to me, it was such a powerful example of, are we interfering too much instead of giving our dogs, supporting them, obviously, and like I said, watching their body language. That is, educating people that they can understand the body language that they're seeing. Is my dog tense? Is my dog afraid? Or what, how's my dog feeling? Possibly. But letting them sort it out, letting them figure it out. I think it was so powerful. I don't know. What do you think, Kels?
So I love that. And I've been trying to work that into allowing Merle to, well, not allowing, because I wasn't stopping him, but like making more space for that, taking the time more for him to stop and look at something from the right distance and in the right situation, right? But what made me think about making that video the other day was, from a standpoint of doing body work on a dog or using energy work with a dog, right? I've never been able to put those pieces together, and I see little snippets of information here and there about, changing our minds and changing what we're thinking and visualizing what we want to see rather than what we're seeing. But then I also hear, try to quiet your mind. And so there's always been this question, which is it? When I'm, I'm sitting there with my hands over a dog, and maybe I'm doing off the body work. Maybe I'm not touching the dog, right? And what I have to direct my mind I have to direct my mind somewhere. It's either got to go to my breath so that I'm not all over the place, or it's got to go to, visualizing what I want the dog to do instead of what it's doing. And there's always that, which is it? Which is it? And all of a sudden I had that moment where I realized that that's where that statement from Linda comes in. And all of the instructors and all of the people who have come up with these various modalities that I've been interested in, they will all say kind of both those statements. And so I've never really understood which one is applicable. Do you understand?
I do, but I'm going to pick up something that you said there, because I think that is key. One of the things you said, when I have my intention, I have to visualize what I want the behavior to be, or what I want the dog to be doing. And that's where I think we need to change that. Is yes, exactly. We have that visualization, but a visualization of basically holding space to support that dog for what they want to feel or do or be, or
right.
I mean, they want to be in balance. Every single living organism wants to be in balance. We want to be in that state of homeostasis. It goes up and down all the time. It's changing all the time. But that's what every living being wants. So why wouldn't they want to feel comfortable or good, or, behave in a way that makes them feel comfortable?
Well, I think the question is, why does a dog barking when they're afraid make the human so imbalanced? And I think, to me, that's like just the crux of the question to your story, Sue. Why is the first human reaction to say, no, stop barking, don't, rather than letting the dog tell you what, like they're telling you something, because every behavior is information. And, if you get a headache, you're imbalanced, so you go rest. So if a dog's barking, they're not doing it to be annoying. They're doing it because they're giving you information and something's out of balance. So and it's a super hard habit to break, because I think with all of the standard training protocols going back 30 years, it's trying to fit the dog into a small box to be a specific thing. And they're unique. They're ancient beings, just like we are, and they all have personalities. And when we embrace that, I think it changes everything.
Yeah.
I think there's another perspective to that too, in addition to, that's the side of, that is a really big deal. And me personally, I've experienced that a lot. Why is it that I need him not to bark at people? Right. I totally get that. And I think we know the three of us, we know all of the reasons why people want to stop that, right? It's embarrassing, and people are looking at you. And especially for us as people who work with dogs, it doesn't look good, because people have these expectations that your dog is not supposed to act like that, right? But it also does trigger something. It triggers other things, acceptance, and it triggers those things about ourselves, those messages that we have about ourselves. But the other side of that is, and I just lost my train of thought.
Well, I'm going to pick that up there, because I think it also triggers a normal biological response of us not feeling safe, because a dog making a loud noise, any animal making a loud noise, even if it's a person shouting, would also trigger us to feel unsafe. So I think that's one of the things. It's a biological reaction for us.
Right.
Besides all the things that you said there, Kelley, which are 100% true, triggers a lot of personal beliefs and systems and things in ourselves. It just is a biological reaction.
Right. But exactly. I just remembered, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kim.
No, I was just agreeing with Sue that the dog's having a biological reaction, and we are, and they're just, the imbalances feed off each other at that point.
And then if you have some people like us who have been doing this for a number of years and subscribing to the behavior is information tidbit, right? Or the philosophy that they're trying to tell us something. So then there's the flip side of that, that when they're barking, we're like, okay, what do you need me to do? I'm not doing it right. What else can I do for you? You're uncomfortable. You're this or you're that. And so then it gets triggered from a different direction. And I think that at this point in my life with my dog, that's what it's more, I've kind of overcome worrying about what other people are thinking about the way my dog is behaving and that kind of thing. I doubt I have overcome the thing that you were just talking about me being triggered by the loud, a noise or whatever. But my mind immediately goes to, okay, he's uncomfortable. What am I supposed to do? How can I fix that for you? Rather than letting him work, giving him the support that it's because we're taught to don't put him in that situation or have the right distance if you're going to put him, in whatever it is. It doesn't have to be reactivity, right? And so, but still, we become reactive in a different way, and we're still like controlling because we want to take away all the discomfort.
So what about if we said, our dog starts to either give us signs that they're feeling fearful, or they start barking, or whatever the action is that they're doing, we get triggered. And then instead of saying, well, what can I do? Maybe we should say, what is this information? Tell me, and what can I do with this information? Not what can I do for the dog, or what shall I do for myself, but what shall I do with this information?
Yeah.
I don't know. What can we do with the information? We can say it's information. I get it. My dog has been triggered. I've been triggered. All we're trying to do here is feel safe. That's our biology, trying to feel safe. And we both had a reaction. Can we just breathe through this, wait 90 seconds? Hopefully it will pass. If it doesn't, it means I haven't got that distance. Like you said, I'm still not feeling safe. The environment is not conducive to me coming back to homeostasis yet. So maybe it's just a case of, how can my dog and I move to a place or do something that's going to help us feel safe, instead of all the other things that we try and throw in there.
Right. I mean, I think that's a really great point. Yeah.
I think it's an awesome point. And I think that's where we have to take responsibility for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it comes down to, if we don't feel well on a particular day, I think people need to understand that, you know what, it's okay to not go on that walk, to not go to this place where you're already imbalanced. How is your dog supposed to stay balanced when you're that connected pair? So it's okay to like snuggle on the couch for the day and just enjoy each other and just be. And I think that's something people like I think the misinterpretation that dogs need to be busy, and that they, a day or two of like not taking a walk is the end of the world. And you know what? Like sometimes your best moments are just the quiet ones. So it's okay. And I think we have to look at ourselves and say, how do I feel today? Can I handle if, Buddy gets distracted, or, can I be a good, and this is where I believe in leadership as role model. And that's, can I be a good leader and help support my dog if we see something scary out there today? So it's okay to not go anywhere.
It's okay. And it's okay to not know the answers. It's okay to not know what to do in the moment. It's okay to let your dog have his say. It's okay for you to have your say sometimes too. I mean, we're all human, right? We can all do this. And afterwards, I mean, if it was a human relationship, how would we do that? Walking along, so-and-so does something that, that makes you feel uncomfortable. You say, hey, why did you do that? They say, well, because I felt like it. And then sort of you say, okay, well, let's do something else. And you make it right and you carry on, right?
Right.
So I don't know. That's where I kind of feel that we just we shouldn't be so quick to jump in. We should just be quick to rather assess the situation and say, and understand that where it's coming from, which is simply a biological reaction, and saying, hey, what can we do to make us feel safe here? And sometimes it is just giving ourselves 90 seconds to let it pass through our body and to let that whole reaction sort of calm down again, and then carry on doing what we were doing before. It doesn't work always, obviously, and it depends on lots of different factors, but it's certainly worth a try.
But even when you find yourself, like I found myself in a situation on Thursday or Friday where I was at the hydrotherapy place, and it wasn't time to go in yet, but there were several people in the parking lot with dogs. And so we're sitting in the car. We can't leave and come back because our appointment's in 5 minutes. And there's, there's not much I can do. That there's dogs in the parking lot and they're right beside the car, and Merle is barking. And I didn't really want him to get worked up and then have to go be handled. But so, and I find myself in those situations sometimes, when we're out and about, if there's people coming from different directions, and I'd rather keep moving, but I can't. I just have to stand. And so at that moment, there's really only thing I can do is just turn. And I remember to do this sometimes, is check in with them and say, you know what, we just have to get through this. But the other part is to regulate my breathing and regulate what, and just basically concentrate on slowing all of that down. And I did that in the car the other day, and I took a picture. I guess you guys saw that picture. That was him like, what are you doing? Instead of barking, he's like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I'm going to do this if you want to join me. It's fine if you want to bark, because there's nothing, trying to stop doing a bunch of things to try to stop the barking isn't going to help. It's going to make me gets me all triggered.
Again, and like you said, I mean, be creative, but to a certain extent. I mean, the first thing when you said that, I thought, well, I would just get in the car and drive around the block and then park again. But it might not be possible because
it wasn't.
You have to go in, etc. And funny enough, I was at the vet with my two yesterday as well. They had to go and have annual checkups, and the same thing happened. But sort of with tiny car park, everyone going and trying to get their place in. And she knows me. I wait outside with my dogs, and then the receptionist will come out and call me when it's time for us to come in, so we can just go straight in, boom, straight into the room.
Right.
But there was like a short time where she said, hang on, we're coming, and then somebody slipped in and blah blah blah. Yep. And Charlie's like, I'm going back to the car. And I said, I know you realize what we're here for. And I did. I just sat down on the bench next to the car, and I said, listen, buddy, we got to do this, and we're going to do this together, and I'm going to make it as easy as I can for you. This is what we have to do. And he was not wildly excited about it. Obviously not. It's like, having a child saying, we got to go into the dentist now, and he's going to look in your mouth and probably drill a hole in your face.
Right.
So, but he did it, and he was fine. But, I could have gone into the room and had a bit of a disaster there, and I would have felt uncomfortable. He would have felt uncomfortable. Yeah. Or, I don't know what else, Kelley. As you say, you just kind of handle it. But
I think those moments, the moments when you're kind of caught between two things, and there's not really anything that's feasible that's going to work. Those are the moments when I think actually Merle does the best, because those are the moments when I say, okay, well, there's nothing for me to control here, because there's nothing I can do. I can't plan my way out of this and scan them and try to figure. I just have to say, well, here, those are the moments when I'm speaking out loud to him, and I'm saying, well, here we are. Here's what, here's how we're going to get through this. And I'm kind of talking him through it. And then I just say, you can either stand there and get upset, or you can join me, but I can't help you other than to try to just stay right here with you, right? If that makes any sense. And I actually think that those are the times when I'm basically inviting him to calm down with me, but not demanding it, not giving him something like some activity, not dropping treats on the ground, not trying to get him to turn and do something else, not suggesting anything other than, I'm going to take a deep breath here.
Yeah.
And just stand here for a second.
Because,
And
I mean, our dogs must think, I think our dogs must think we're stupid or crazy or something. When we start, like you say, trying to devise something to distract them or to do whatever, it's so out of context for them in that moment. If you think about it, they are not feeling safe, they're not feeling uncomfortable, and you're saying, come, let's go get let's sniff for some treats, let's do whatever.
Well, I love what you said, Kelley. You said the word invite.
yeah,
I invite Merle to calm down, and I love that, because you're not trying to control any kind of situation. You're just saying, hey, you know what, this is, you know, again, as the role model leader, you're saying, this is a safe situation, and I understand you're not happy, but, you know, I'm calm, so I invite you to calm with me, and they will or they won't. I mean, it's a similar thing when we get to nose work class, like Django just goes nuts barking because he's excited and he sees all the dogs, and it's just this eye candy like arousal. But through time and through that acceptance, you know, we used to have to keep the car closed because he would bark at all the dogs that passed by. And now the other day we're parked facing the search area and he's just laying there and the truck was wide open and he's just watching, and it's a beautiful thing. So
I love that, Kim. And it doesn't, you know, at the end of the day, it does not come back down to connection and you know, being your dog's partner, because in those situations, then you figure it out, and together your dog will trust you to figure it out and do something and make it, you know, just get through it. And that comes up, that we build in out of these situations, that we build in the everyday situations where we just hanging out with our dogs and doing things and being with them and making them part of the family and, you know, part of everyday life.
But it's also a moment when, I mean, as a human being who is, you know, most of us, at least most of us, I know the three of us are, and most of us who've been working with dogs and, you know, trying to do this with our own dogs, we're very resourceful, right? And so it's like we just have this like endless array of resources that that run through our heads in any of these moments. And it's in those moments when there's nothing left to do, when I, as a human being, can say, I just give. I give. There's nothing.
I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm just going to.
I just let go
with the flow and make and
when I just
do the best I can. Yeah.
And I just, you know, appeal to something that I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but I'm just going to just let it all go and not try to. Those are the moments when my dog does the best, you know, and so that's kind of a lot of what I've been talking about lately. Is I've been practicing that in many, many areas of my, like basically trying to put that into practice in all of the areas of my life. Because it's very hard to be a resourceful person I always have something else I can try, you know, whether it's for myself, my husband, my job, my, you know, my dog, everything. There's never an end to the things that I can come up with to try to affect or influence or manipulate what's happening. And I have just started to just do the next right thing that's in front of me, that seems like the right thing to do, that's fairly simple, and I might be stepping out of my box a little bit, but not too far, because I can do it. And then if it's the right thing, in a day or two, another step will reveal itself. And there's no sense in putting myself way outside my box in a fear-based state where my cortisol is through the roof to try to do things. And I mean, I'm not going off topic here, because it's about the same thing. And it's like, that's what I would do in any given moment when I'm pressed for, oh my God, is my dog upset about something? you know, I would fall all over myself and think of 1,000 things that I could do in this moment. And of course I still do it, but I'm really learning that the more I let go of that, the more the doors open, and the more I have access to things that my humanness prevents good things from coming sometimes. My humanness, all of that thinking and all of that. Does that make sense to you guys what I'm saying? And it applies very much to our dogs, and it applies when, you know, even when in a moment when a dog wants to be touched and I'm doing T-touch, but it's so easy to start trying to thinking about how this can influence the behavior, or how this can influence their health, or how this might, you know, how it looks to their guardian or their caretaker at that moment when, you know, does it look like I'm not doing anything? And so going back to that, just do it because it feels like the right thing to do, and then just let it go where it's supposed to go. It's so hard to let go of that control.
It is. I think it's human nature that we want to control the situation, that we want the best for our dogs, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting the best for them and to wanting to support them and to help them. Nothing wrong with that. But like you said, I mean, we tend to come up with this plethora of things that we can do and how we can do this and what else we can add. And let's add this to their diet. Let's give them this treatment. Let's do this. Let's do whatever. We don't even do that to ourselves. 90% of us don't even give the same kind of support to ourselves.
No, we don't.
And, you know, like I had a sore back for a while. So I have a sore back, and, you know, I might do something, have a warm bath, and you know, irritates me for a day or two, but then it goes away and I'm okay with that. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's the same with our dogs as well. There's no plain sailing. There's always, life goes up and down. It's a flow. And sometimes we need to just go through those dips together and just let it happen, let it flow. Of course, support them in a way. That's why, again, like Kim says, the self-selection with the botanicals, so that the dog itself can use his innate abilities for what he might be needing in that specific moment. That's why I really think it's the way forward with everything. We should be offering them more, you know. Do you want to go on this walk? Do you want to do this activity? And just watching their response and their body language to see what feels right for them, instead of us trying to dictate so many things of, you know, what we think is best for them, because we don't know.
I think that's like what I think that's what, like, Kelley, you said it. I mean, what you were just talking about, Kelley, like brings it all the way back around to that homeostasis at the beginning. Yeah. And my dogs were just barking at people outside that are doing work. And so, like, they were just being dogs. So to go away for 2 minutes, and, you know, but I was listening. But I think it comes back to that homeostasis, you know, and that, you know, what I've done some botanicals work on dogs, and they come up. I've had a few want T-touch. I've had a few want, you know, stuff applied, but they're choosing it. And I'm just the conduit. And I think that's what we like become, like, when you're intentional and you're present and you have that connection, your intuition guides you as to what you should be doing, Kelley. You know, like you're just saying, and all of those things, like how you touch a dog or what you're doing. And that, like, we have to leave our ego behind. And if that's what's right in the moment, then that's what's right in the moment. And you know that, like, your intentions are pure, you're present, you're connected with the animal that you're working with. And I think as people who work with dogs, you know, training, botanicals, whatever the modality that we're doing, that we're there to support the guardians and the dogs as a pair, and a connected pair, and to empower them to understand these things. And, you know, because it is about balance. And I think it just, that's what I see my role as, is just a conduit of support for.
Yeah. And helping people to understand that their dog's behavior is nothing more than that. And it's, you know, that we're so tied into what it should look like or what it shouldn't look like, or even just the basic biology of it. Like I said, we are triggered because our dogs bark is a normal thing, and that we need to be okay with normality again. We need to come back to what's normal,
Right.
you know, what's normal and okay, and let it actually happen. And I think the more we can help the carers to understand that, you know, a lot of them, because a lot of people think they have to, you know, they think because they see it on TV or they see their neighbors doing it or whatever, that they have to train the dog, that they have to fix the problem, that they have to have this perfectly behaved dog. How many of us have perfectly behaved children or perfectly behaved it's, you know, it doesn't exist, you know.
I'm not perfectly behaved, so.
I was thinking that too. Now, I've had such a good teacher because, you know, because I have a dog that's had physical, you know, he's had physical problems, and he also isn't a touchy. He doesn't like to be touched. He's been such a great teacher for me with this, because I've been so through so many things of feeling like I need to do something and I need to fix something, or I need to, you know, I didn't think he could get enough handling to go get a massage or to go to hydrotherapy or whatever, right? And so I needed to figure out how to do all, and the more desperate I became about needing to be able to do certain things, the more he was like, don't touch me. And the more I'm able to just go, okay, so he's limping today, you know, I'm limping today too. You know, I'm not dying. And I'm still getting around. I might be using my other leg. You know, the more, like what Sue was just saying, you know, we have ups and downs. The more I'm able to do that, it sort of just kind of works itself. I mean, it's not like I'm not going to do anything.
No, sure.
I'm naturally, something is going to happen naturally, organically, which is exactly what happened. You know, he has started coming and basically laying on top of me when I'm trying to meditate. And I just organically reached down one morning and touched his shoulder, and now the shoulders that he wouldn't let me touch for a year, he's asking for massage.
Because it's coming from him, you know.
It's coming from him.
I'm ready, I'll come to you, you know. Yeah. I think we you know, again, it comes back to us interfering. And I know it comes from a good place. I'm not saying that, you know, we all meddlers or whatever, but I think it comes from a good place. We want the best for our dogs.
It does.
We want to see them happy. We want to see them healthy.
It's a woman. I think it's partially because being female too. It's got something to do with that.
Yes.
That nurturing. Not that men aren't nurturers, but
absolutely.
I think we struggle with where is that enough, and sometimes we're a little overbearing with it, where people don't want it.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Helicopter parenting.
Yeah.
Well, and isn't that what like being a dog parent has become? Like every move like just seems to be micromanaged. You know. Yeah. Sit for your dinner. Wait at the door, you know, like, and then, you know, I mean, this is just such a big topic. I mean, we haven't even brought like dog personality into it. And
the individual,
that each, and that just as an innate instinct, they have a role to play on their day-to-day basis. And so, but like, just like humans don't always get along, dogs don't always get along. Some dogs want a small family. Some dogs love everyone. Some dogs are fine with just one. And so having that expectation again of like a dog who wants 2 friends go to a dog park and see 20 is overwhelming. So if we learn to understand that and let the dog choose, we have to be okay with it. And I think sometimes the human has a hard time being okay with it. And if you have friends at the dog park, then leave your dog at home and go to the dog park. That's okay too. You know, I mean, we put ourselves in this little bubble of like how we think it's supposed to be. When if you can let
so many things in life,
and if you can let go and just be in that moment, I mean, it's magical. And the dogs respond instantaneously when we can you know, I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, you can edit this, but you take the stick out of your bum, you know, and relax a little bit. You know,
It is.
we're
I think that's
so uptight.
I think that's
Yeah.
it, Kim. I think we need to relax a little bit, and be more present and be more observant about what our
Yeah.
dogs like and don't like, or feel and don't feel, etc. And I'm not saying that, again, we don't have to make it a micromanage, like, oh, my dog doesn't like that, oh, my dog doesn't like that. It's just an observation, you know, it's a pure observation, and saying, okay, so that makes him tick, that tickles his fancy, that turns him on, this doesn't. Okay, so let's do more of that and more of this, and let's find something that we both like to do. And if there's something that he likes to do and I don't, well, we'll do it separately. You know, my husband loves to go up mountains and go up mountains this steep on his bicycle, and I like to walk around the base of the mountain where it's flat. It's perfectly normal. It's okay, you know.
It is. It is. And I think that's the thing, that, you know, it's okay.
So let them be. Let our dogs be who they want to be.
We just push too hard.
And yeah, let's so what are the conclusions? Let's wrap it up here, girls. Conclusions are, we don't know all the answers.
Nope.
And you know, we're all just beings, just like our dogs are beings, and we're all trying to reach some kind of homeostasis, and it goes in waves. It's the flow of life. There's ups and downs. We need to be okay with those.
We don't always have to respond we don't always have to respond to something the moment it's happening.
Yeah, I like that. Take a moment to actually just assess it, and just,
I mean, if there's no immediate danger, we don't have to respond to something. We can just take a minute I mean, we can do what we're trying to do for them, which is let them take some things in, give them a moment. But we don't, you know, we think that we have to do it right away. Do something.
And again, it comes, you know, I also believe that we don't understand the way that they perceive. It's just like you perceive you perceive your world completely differently to the way I perceive it. Even though we think it's the same, it's very different. And so is it for our dogs. And sometimes we need to remember that what they're perceiving is not what we're perceiving.
Gosh, I hope not. You know, I mean, you know, my dog you would think that my dog is, the three of us, each of us would think that our respective dogs are thinking something else. You know, if you had Merle, you would think he was thinking something different than what I think. And if I had Charlie, you know, and it's a projection of what you know, it's a projection of our filter and our traumas and all of that. It's a projection of that stuff. And so that's the other, you know, we've talked a little bit about that, but become aware of what, you know, when my dog is staring at the thing over there, what is it, you know, what's bothering me about that?
Oh yeah, what's bothering me about that, not what's bothering my dog. What's bothering me about that?
Why does it bother me? If my dog is limping a little bit, he has arthritis. He's going to limp, right? You know, lots of people have it. And so why is that such a huge trigger when I already know that we're doing everything that we can do to support it and to, you know, so why is it such a trigger? You know, where does that take me? And I think that there's a lot of keys and a lot of good stuff in there for all of us.
I'm just going to give my wrap up, and it's pretty simple. You know, I love the awareness factor of it. I think that is a huge key of us becoming aware, like you said, Kelley, you know, but it is, again, it's that human empathy that comes in, that it's hard to see. Like my husband broke his collarbone, and it killed me to see him in that kind of pain. I mean, he's a strong man, and to watch him in that kind of pain, just, I did, you know, like it catches you here, and then something comes in and like makes you strong enough to handle it. So I think it's the same when our dogs age, and we know how that works, right? I mean, we sign on for it when we adopt them, that they don't live as long as humans typically. So we know that they're going to get older, but I'm just going to end like my part of this by saying, you know, Sue, you said the word, we're all beings. We're all sentient beings. Isn't it interesting that we're not called doings? We're called beings.
Exactly.
So just being.
We're human doings.
Right? But I mean, it's
one.
really interesting that like you just be and try to be more. I mean, you can't always, but you know, we're talking about normal situations in normal life, not extraneous circumstances.
Yeah,
So.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, so I think, I mean, what I'm trying to do more often is just sort of when something happens, it's just like, what, you know, what is happening, really being observant about exactly what's happening and saying, right, that's interesting. It very possibly could be that, as you say, Kelley said, my reaction, why am I feeling that towards the way that dog or person or whatever is reacting or not reacting to a situation. And just be more curious about what's going on, as opposed to jumping in with 2 feet and saying, I know how to deal with this. I know what to do here, because we don't always know. And sometimes just letting it happen, because that's when I think when some of the best lessons are learned about ourselves.
Absolutely.
So
take
I
the
think
judgment out.
Maybe my wrap up has to do, you know, you put the correct term with it, Kim, when you said homeostasis. So, you know, to what I'm trying to say, but I think that the wrap up for me is, you know, when I'm working with a dog or working with any dog, my dog, any other dog, that just holding the space, you know, holding the space or visual, if I need a visualization, which sometimes I do because I need to know something to visualize so I don't run off on a tangent. But, you know, holding that space or visualizing that dog has just as much ability to find its own balance as I do, and I don't need to give it. So I just need to be there. But for me, I have to have something to give myself to think. And so I have to kind of prepare that ahead of time. Do you know? So the thing to think, if I need to think something, I can think that, you know, he's got all these cells in there and they know what to do. And I can just, I can just see them all lining up under the microscope or whatever. But the point is, you know, the point is to stop doing and do, and stop doing and be.
Yes, I love that.
Love it.
Let's be.
Isn't it wonderful that we've been all around, you know, the three of us have been in all these different directions. I mean, some of them have been the same direction, but, you know, we've circled the globe and searched for what resonated with us and the answers and all of that stuff. And we come right back to just be.
It sounds so simple.
And it's everywhere. What are you playing?
It was my phone.
It's everywhere. I mean, that's the conclusion that so many, you know, you hear people all over the world, so-called experts and everyone are talking, but the undertone of what they're, you know, the thing that they're making, even if they don't completely abandon their science or their thinking, you know, you can hear that undertone of slow it down, just be, you know, give this space. And I'm starting to recognize that more and more.
Brilliant. Girls, it's been wonderful chatting. Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation, and I look forward to many more.
Yes.
And,
I think we opened up a lot of topics.
Yeah, we did. There was no specific topic for today, so and it's gonna branch off from here, because, as you say, Kelley, it's taken us years and years and years to come to this point. But a lot of the people out there are just, you know, really just beginning in this, you know, but perhaps they've just recently got a dog and feeling overwhelmed about, you know, things that the dog is doing. So to help them, you know, sometimes they do need strategies at the beginning, because it's important for them to know what to then feel more in control, you know, if they have some kind of strategies to help them. but also just knowing, as I say, knowing that everything's okay and that it will just happen the way it's supposed to happen, and we can be okay with that. There's no
Absolutely. I don't think
right
that
or wrong.
I'm certainly not suggesting do nothing.
No, none of us
I'm
are.
a person who tends to overdo. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think a lot of us tend to overdo, and we go
I
from
think
not knowing what's going on and to try to fix it to trying to help the dog, and then we overdo the helping. And so I think, but I mean, you just have to find a balance with it. But certainly,
back to balance.
Back to balance.
And I and I think that like strategies help with safety and that feeling of safety. So, you know, and that's what it is all about. And yet I think, you know, Kelley, you make a point, when you overdo, we just push. We push and push and push, and it's the slowing down. And you know, Sue, your story at the beginning, just take a minute and think about it. So I think strategies are vital.
yep.
I think even having a plan of something that you'd love to do with your dog, like go kayaking, is not a bad thing. But I think you can't make that the be all end all thing that's what you think about. So
Right.
you
And
then forget to live in the moment today. So
when you overdo, you're attached to the outcome. I mean, that's why you're doing that's why you're overdoing it. It's because you have an outcome in mind. And I mean, I think that is the enemy to all of this. The enemy to all of this,
the expectation,
is being attached to the result. Or I think that's the bottom line. You can have a plan, you can do something, you can do anything that you want to do and make a plan on it, you know, but keeping that outcome flexible and having the space that it's okay if it doesn't work out exactly like this, and we'll find another plan that works. You know, it may not, just keeping it open to it's going to work out the way it's supposed to, not necessarily.
And also, I think having, as you say, taking that a little bit further now, we kind of think, well, this is where we want to go, this is where we want to be, this is what we want it to look like.
Now we have another can of worms open.
Yeah. But we expect this to,
sorry about that.
Yeah, we expect this to go in a direction, and then we want that, as you say, we want that outcome. And let's even say we get that outcome, and then 2 weeks later we don't get that outcome anymore because
good point.
That throws the whole thing out again. But I want that outcome again. Do you know what I mean? So again, we get attached to, this is the outcome I want, and it must always be like that. And it's not. Life is not like that.
No, it's not like that for us. And it's weird how we have created such a box of expectation from with our animals. So it's just fascinating.
So ladies, we digress. We're going to wrap this up now.
We did.
We will have to come back for more because, as Kelley said, we've opened up a can of worms to go.
We always do, and we always will, and that's all good.
Exactly. All right, you two, thanks very much. We'll see you soon. Wave goodbye.
Yay.
Cheers.